Hi, I'm Dave Gardy for Cybersecurity TV from our studios here near Washington, D.C. for another in the series of SteelCloud Compliance Automation TV. Joining me here in the studio from SteelCloud is Mr. Brian Hajost, who's the COO. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dave.
Now, the rule for CMMC 2.0 was recently published. What does this rule cover?
Well, the rule itself is not a lot different than CMMC version 2, with a couple of nuances. I think there's more of an emphasis on confidential data as opposed to pure CUI data. So organizations that may not have gotten marked CUI data in the past and may have not have thought that they had to go to, say, a level 2 under the new rule, they're going to have to comply. So to give you an example, SteelCloud, a software company that doesn't regularly handle CUI data, but we handle customer support into the federal government. So software companies that handle support, it's assumed that they handle government confidential data and then would be required to comply with CMMC level 2, either self-assessment or audited assessment.
So how does automating NIST 800-171 relate to automating CMMC compliance?
Well, there's a lot of misconception about this. If you look at CMMC as simply a regimen to enforce 171, so many of the organizations that are coming under the CMMC 2.0 guidance already have requirements under 171, already have to file reports under the government's contractor system. So there really isn't a lot between the two, and many of the organizations had to do much of CMMC, for the last 5 years.
I see. And how does the rule affect CMMC level requirements for these companies and how they'll need to comply with those levels?
Well, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we see what will be expected to be a bulge in level 2. So organizations that could have been level 1 or COTS vendors that didn't have to comply with level 2 at all, if they're doing support into the federal government, they have to go with level 2. So I think the one thing that we will see is there'll be a higher percentage of government contractors fall under level 2 than we expected before the ruling came out.
Is a cost projection to become CMMC compliant, can that be easily assessed?
It can and it can't, and a lot of it has to depend on the maturity of the organization coming in. Organizations that have already put security measures in place, have two-factor authentication, are doing intrusion detection, prevention, monitoring, have those things in place. They probably have to put together their security plans and have to go through better monitoring. Some organizations that have contractors that have relied on outside 1099 contractors, don't have all their equipment on domains, don't have two-factor authentication, are dealing with Gmail and things of that nature, will have a fairly technical lift. I would say for organizations, you're probably looking at a minimum of $100,000 to comply, and that's if you're kind of a little further down the maturity line in terms of your technology. And for some organizations that are either larger or are not very mature in their cyber practices, it could be a lot more than that.
And that's both technology and consulting, correct?
It is technology and consulting. Almost everyone will need a specialist, someone that's been through training, someone that will build the security plans, do the documentation, make sure the processes are in place. And it makes sense for almost all organizations to not staff that individual inside, but to hire consultants to help them with that work.
And how can SteelCloud help?
Well, going back to 171, both 171 and CMMC require secure configurations. And CMMC requires the ongoing monitor of secure configurations. SteelCloud is in the business for both large and small contractors to help them build secure configurations and keep those configurations in compliance with both CMMC and 171.
Got it. Well, we've been speaking with Brian Hajost, who's the COO of SteelCloud. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David.
I'm Dave Gardy for another in the series of SteelCloud Compliance Automation TV. Thanks for watching from Cybersecurity TV studios near Washington, D.C.